The Baltimore Ravens have been forced into an impossible decision. We've got a major update on the Ravens secondary situation. What is going on, everyone? My name is Sam Stewart here on Ravens Digest. Hope everyone is doing well today. I want to welcome everyone to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You want to be one of the first 100 subscribers to this channel. You're not going to want to miss out. We just passed the 50 mark yesterday. I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet to keep up to date with all of your Ravens news and information. Okay, everyone, we've got a big situation. My colleague on the channel, Bryce Parker, covered this in a video the other day. Our Darius Washington Achilles has been torn. Unfortunately, he is going to miss all of this season. Prayers up for him. Hopefully, we can get a speedy recovery from him and see him back on the field. Not this upcoming season, but the season after that. Hopefully, he can return on that timeline, although these things can be very difficult to return from. You know, it was so fun getting to watch him in Week 18 last year, and that kind of resurgence of the Ravens secondary that we talked about in the second part of the season really had a lot to do, according to a lot of members of the Ravens, with our Darius's improvement in the late parts of the season. So let's go ahead and look at one of the articles from Ravens.com that had a couple of really good quotes in it about this situation, how the Ravens could move forward. They quoted Baltimore Banner's Jonas Schaefer: with Washington sideline, the Ravens could look in-house or to the free agent market for safety help. Safeties Boo Braid and Sanusi Kane contributed primarily on special teams as rookies, but they could take a step forward in year two under the tutelage of first-year senior secondary coach Chuck Pagano. The Ravens could also bring in Justin Simmons, Julian Blackmon, or Jordan Whitehead on a one-year prove-it deal, as they did with Eddie Jackson last season. Another quote from Schaefer is: Washington's injury not only robs the Ravens of a solid start and popular locker room presence, but also limits their flexibility with Starks and Hamilton. Who's most disruptive in the slot? Head coach John Harbaugh had praised the trio's versatility after the Ravens drafted Starks in the first round last month. Now, this is something I really want to point out when we talk about our Darius Washington, and the Ravens secondary as a whole. Something Harbaugh brought up that is very important is that versatility. So here's the thing. What we're going to have to look at in this video, with what Eric DeCosta is going to have to do, is try to fill in that versatility. And the thing is, they already have a great job put in place. A great job that was done on draft night, drafting Malachi Starks. A super interesting statistic that I was able to find. Malachi Starks is the only player in FBS last year that played 1,500 snaps in his career at the safety position, and also 500 snaps at slot cornerback as well. So this is a versatile guy. And something I want to point out before we dive deeper into the safety issue is that one of the big things this year, and one place where the Ravens got very, very hurt last year and very exposed, is the fact that they're going to need someone to line up opposite Nate Wiggins at the cornerback position. They're very solid with Hamilton, with Starks. They're going to be very solid. And, we're going to talk about in just one second who they could pick up. But keep in mind, the cornerback position needs to be filled as well. But the middle of the field has been the Ravens' strength. So let's go ahead and look at what names could be possibly picked up by the Ravens. There's a list, and I've already flashed Jordan Whitehead a couple of times up on the screen. So I'm just going to say I think Jordan Whitehead would be a great pickup for this team. But look at this list. Let me know in the comments if there's any other some other names that jumped out to me. Jordan Poyer, Justin Simmons. Let me know if any of these names ring out more than Jordan Whitehead, because I do think that Jordan Whitehead particularly would be a great pickup. Now, his stat line is not very impressive from last year. The Buccaneers picked him up, and it is interesting. And a telltale sign, though, that he was making a difference for the Buccaneers was the fact that he was actually injured in a car wreck and was unable to play against the Commanders. The Buccaneers really struggling against Jalen Daniels. That's a lot of teams, but their defense definitely looked like something was lacking in that wild card round game against the Commanders. He actually did bring a lot of things to a Buccaneers defense that was struggling. However, I think we have a solid foundation. And Starks knows that. I think people in the Ravens know, is he going to be hopping already? If the Ravens were this excited about getting him, if they're willing to take that first round draft pick, a Super Bowl contender like the Ravens, this guy knows he's got to play right away. And I'm fully expecting, him being at Georgia, being in championship games, he's not going to be overwhelmed by the pressure at all. I do not think in any shape, form, or way he's going to be overwhelmed or nervous in any way. He has been at the highest level of college football. He has the experience, literally more experience than anyone else at college football at multiple positions. I think we can just take a deep breath and say, look, even if the free agent signing of Whitehead or someone else doesn't necessarily go as planned, we still have a very solid secondary middle of the secondary rather, with Hamilton and Starks. I think Starks is going to be a star in this league. So some other thoughts about this particular issue with the secondary. I think that one thing to consider, to keep in mind, is that, you know, the Ravens are going to get tested right away. And it would have been great to see Ardarius come back this year. He started a career high 12 games last season. You know, that's the versatility and things we're talking about. But it's going to come into play very, very quickly how much this Ravens defense and secondary specifically has improved. The Ravens opened up with Detroit. Detroit ranked second in the NFL in passing yards per game with 266.3 and a completion percentage of 71.3, which is also second in the league. We're going to see right away, and we're going to see the coaching of Harbaugh and the brilliance or possible brilliance of DeCosta. If he can figure this out, the Ravens are going to have an earlier bye this year. How is the secondary going to work out in these early games? How is that cornerback position across from Nate Wiggins? How is this safety situation truly going to play out? It's hard to envision, but how is it going to play out, and how are we going to adjust throughout the season? This is a storyline that we're going to need to keep an eye on from day one versus the Lions. You know, the Ravens, I've said it so many times, struggled against the pass last year. Second worst defense against the pass. The first 5 weeks will be a roller coaster in some ways. Hopefully not, but there's going to be a lot of adjustments that need to be made at that bye week, particularly with the secondary. So in the comments, let me know what you think about the Ravens secondary after Ardarius Washington injury, and let me know who you think the Baltimore Ravens should pick up, if anyone, in free agency at that safety position. And let me know if you're worried about the Lions and their passing attack the first night. Are you feeling confident going into that first game? All right, everyone, my name is Sam Stewart. This is Ravens Digest. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to subscribe, leave your comments and likes as well. We'll see you next time on Ravens Digest.